of that. It needs to be managed very carefully, because when you're reducing headcount but then identifying high performers in the same breath.
You might get people jumping into the lifeboat who don't necessarily deserve a place there, but have somehow managed to work it all out. Look, exactly. I imagine it's going to be quite a quagmire. Yeah. Danu from Rush Digital, thank you very much this morning for joining us with some pretty sharp insights there on how business does transformation, how it might work in the public sector. Wrapping business with 2 degrees, the white-collar apocalypse is a phrase that gets a bit of use in my earshot, perhaps due to a lot of teenage family and friends eyeing a future where AI holds more of the cards. We've talked about job cuts coming and the fears many have, but the Wall Street Journal had a bright spot this week. At US companies using or exploring AI, nearly 3 times as many executives said they were increasing junior level hiring than cutting back this year. Close to half the 1,500 firms surveyed say AI is bringing more complexity and analytical responsibility to entry-level graduate jobs. So firms are seeing AI support taking the admin, like tagging accounts and tracking spending, off the shoulders of new finance hires so they can be more like mini CFOs. So maybe there still is a sweet spot for anyone at uni pondering their prospects. And yet more encouragement for employers to pick the AI adepts when hiring. The question here though is, how many of our businesses are being intentional? How many are seeing more potential in changing job descriptions and adding resources for new graduate hires to recognise more is possible? Well, that's us. Thanks to our partners, 2 Degrees Business. Up next, Ryan Bridge Today.
You're working hard to get to where you want to go. Now's the time to have a retirement plan that aligns with your goals. Head to milfordasset.com to find out how we can help. Milford, invested in you.
Do you want a warm, healthy home? Insulate your walls with Insulmax. The easy, cost-effective way to insulate your walls, usually in just 1 day. Wall insulation without renovation for older Kiwi homes. Fully certified for New Zealand conditions. Join the thousands of Kiwis enjoying a warm, dry, energy-efficient home with Insulmax retrofit wall insulation. Visit nzherald.co.nz to book your free home assessment.
We all have a routine to help us get through the week. But that doesn't mean it has to feel so routine. Because with My Food Bag, you can come home knowing you've always got a yum meal to dish up. With new recipes to try and plenty of favourites that are simple, healthy and always delicious. It's a dinner routine that isn't stuck on repeat. My Food Bag. Dinner done better.
For 150 years, public trust has helped generations of New Zealanders with their wills. Make yours today and ensure the things that matter go to the people that matter.
Ready?
One Roof Property. Love where you live.
We just switched to 2 degrees. Well, we tested the networks and couldn't see any difference. But 2 degrees has free Aussie business roaming. And they're the fastest growing business network.
Can I have what she's having?
Guys, make way. For the designated driver.
Oh, it's a proper Lamington.
It only costs a few dollars, but it all adds up.
What do you mean?
Well, every little donation we make contributes to something bigger.
How bigger?
Really bigger.
Still require a bit more information here. Together, we are powerful.
Go on, Jeff.
Well.
Oh, look. Together, we make the chopper. Donate now to the Westpac Chopper Appeal.
G'day, good morning. This is Ryan Bridge today, Thursday, the 21st of May. On the show this hour, how are prison inmates getting meth behind bars? Allegedly, the guards are sneaking it in for them. A dozen prison guards and corrections staffers charged by police. This is across 2 Auckland prisons. Mark Mitchell is the Minister. He's with us live first up this morning. And the lights are fading on dazzling Dubai. Thousands of wealthy expats are hitting the eject button because of the war. And in an article in The Economist this week, they point to New Zealand as a leading contender to welcome their private jets here. We've got an international immigration lawyer and consultant, former Minister Stuart Nash, live. Winston Peters says we're living in the Asian century as China flexes with state visits from both Trump and Putin in a week. We look at whether our ties to Asia are strong enough. All that ahead. First, here's Neva.
Herald Now News, powered by Newstalk ZB.
The Union for Corrections Workers is raising the alarm about corruption following the arrest of 14 staff at Auckland prisons yesterday. Court documents show 12 people are charged with accepting bribes. Some are also charged with conspiring to supply a Class A drug, namely methamphetamine, to prisoners. Corrections Association President Floyd du Plessis is frustrated the body's long-standing concerns have not been addressed, and he says it's a shocking reminder of what can happen when an organisation doesn't do more to prevent corruption. Marlborough police are seeking answers after an infant was found dead on a roadside in Blenheim. Police were called to Waido Bar Road on Tuesday afternoon after a machinery operator discovered the baby. Area Commander Inspector Simon Faltham says that officers are investigating how the baby came to be there, and he says they're extremely concerned for the welfare of the infant's family and want to speak to them as urgently as possible and offer support. A suggestion there's merit to doing a stocktake of our regulatory landscape. A first-of-its-kind report finds close to 270 organisations are carrying out regulatory functions that often overlap and do the same things. New Zealand Initiative Chair Roger Partridge says we used to have one of the best regulatory systems in the OECD, but it's become too hodgepodge. He says we need to better understand the system before determining exactly who should do what. A members' bill aiming to define the term woman and man in law has passed its first reading in Parliament. The New Zealand First Bill aims to define the terms woman and man in law. National and ACT have agreed to support it to select committee. Former Cuban President Raul Castro has been indicted in the US on murder charges. They relate to a 1996 Cuban military attack on 2 civilian jets operated by Cuban exiles in which 4 people died. 94-year-old Raul Castro was last seen in public earlier this month. The Transport Minister says New Zealand has no plans to follow Australia and crack down on e-bikes and scooters just yet. In Queensland, authorities are introducing reforms that include a minimum age, expanded police powers, greater fines and speed limits on footpaths. Chris Bishop says that the government's looking at letting riders use cycle lanes, which many already do. A Herald investigation using a speed gun clocked e-bikes and e-scooters travelling at up to 53 kilometres an hour on Auckland's northwestern cycleway. A teenager was hospitalised earlier this month after crashing a high-powered electric dirt bike into a Newmarket shop.
Herald Now Sport.
Breakers basketball general manager Dylan Boucher is celebrating signing World Cup winning coach Gordon Herbert to lead the ANBL side on a 2-year deal. Outside back Will Jordan will make a conditional return from injury for the Crusaders in Friday's Super Rugby match with the Chiefs at Christchurch. Southampton's appealing their expulsion from football's championship playoff final, often labelled the richest match in the sport, because they claim the punishment bears no proportion to the offence of spying on opponents.
Look out, the AI, the robots, they're coming for your job. Well, sort of. They're sort of coming for our jobs. Bunch of data out this week on AI and employment. So Seek says job ads mentioning AI have doubled in New Zealand in the past year, up 4.1% from March to April. Nicola Willis, as you know, wants to slash and slice and dice 9,000 jobs out of the public service. Partly AI will help. Meta has this morning started firing 10% of its workforce, around 8,000 workers in the first round. AI. Thank you very much. The workers are so brassed off about this that a bunch of them are actually signing petitions demanding that Zuckerberg not collect their computer use data. So Meta workers typing away, doing their thing, Zuckerberg recording all of that information and then feeding it into an AI bot. The AI bot will eventually replace them. Their work is being copy-pasted, basically, for their replacement. Now, a petition is not going to stop this. Nothing will stop business becoming more efficient. It's what business does. Resistance is futile. In some cases, though, the new technology is being used to plug gaps rather than create them. And this is the irony of the new workforce, which is not human labour, but technology. It cuts both ways. Take China, for example. Their problem is not a shortage of jobs, but of workers. The ageing population, lack of babies, hurting the factories, right? They've got about 37 million workers that they will lose over the next 10 years. A few holes at a few mega factories. Enter humanoid robots. Barclays, British bank, reckons 60% of those jobs will be performed by humanoid robots inside the next years, just inside the next 10 years. Just imagine that. Within a decade, 60% of the workers they'll lose will be robots. Basically, there is a greater chance now more than ever that your new next colleague will be a bot or an AI tool. Either we learn to play with them and get along nice, or they'll probably replace us.
Herald Now weather.
Good morning. A wet and windy night for many in the South Island. We do have a slow-moving front responsible. That tracks up the South Island today with high pressure for the North Island, so still settled there. But the heavy rain watches for the ranges of Westland and parts of Fiordland continue today. Same too with the strong wind watches for Fiordland, Otago, Southland, Stewart Island and the Canterbury High Country. So starting wet for the lower south, but things do clear this afternoon, at least down to showers. Winds turn southwest across the day. High cloud increases in the east, bringing a few afternoon showers. A little more rain for the west coast as that front tracks north, with just the odd morning shower for Nelson. It's looking good for the lower north today. Once any fog clears for the usual spots, there will be strong northerlies for Wellington, but easing back tonight. It's a lovely day for the northeast. Again, once any morning fog or frost clears, could be an afternoon shower or two for Rotorua and Bay of Plenty. And cloudy periods with a few showers for the upper north. Although Hamilton, you'll remain dry with a moderate nor'easterly for a time this afternoon.
I don't want to sound all poo-poo and down and ho-hum this morning. The job ads from SEEK were actually largely pretty good, although coming off quite a low base. You'll remember a year ago it was tariffs from Trump. So we're up 13% job ads wise on that time last year, which would be hard not to do given how bad things were then. However, construction job ads, monthly increase 2.5%, which is great, and annual increase 44.8%, so almost 45% year on year. And Auckland, Wellington up 1.6 and 0.4% respectively. The month-on-month number pretty good too. Time 8 after 7. Bribery, smuggling and meth. This story is not about the prisoners locked up, but the guards and corrections staff who were meant to be the good guys. 14 of them across 2 Auckland prisons, including Mount Eden, have been arrested, allegedly linked to bribery and the smuggling of contraband, including meth. The Department of Corrections confirmed the arrests, won't give the reasons. Mark Mitchell, Corrections and Police Minister, joins us now. Minister, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Ryan.
Gee, not a great look, is it?
No, but, when I became minister, I was very clear with both corrections and police. We see this as a global issue and a global phenomenon in terms of especially organised crime and gangs trying to inject their influence into correction systems. And I said we're going to be very proactive and we're going to make New Zealand a really difficult place for gangs to operate in, and both police and corrections are doing a very good job. But part of that is identifying these types of issues and taking quick action on them.
So how much do you get paid to smuggle meth into a prison?
Oh, look, I'm not going to go into all the details around, I'm not going to be speaking openly about that because obviously, number one, at the moment, there's a police prosecution investigation ongoing. And number two, we don't want to be talking about what these gangs are doing. We just want to be targeting them. We just want to be going after them.
I know, but we're meant to make life safer on the outside of prison, but it shouldn't be easy to get drugs inside it, should it?
No, it shouldn't. And I just want I just want to say that I've spent a lot of time around the world. I've worked with lots of different law enforcement agencies, including correction services, and I just want to say that without a doubt we have got a world-class correction service back here in New Zealand. We've got world-class corrections officers that are highly professional, that are full of integrity, whether they be working in our facilities or whether they be community-based. It's a difficult and it's a hard, challenging job. They're dealing with difficult people with complex issues that are often violent, and they turn up every day, and there's thousands of positive actions that occur. We've got 11,000 corrections officers. We've got 14 that have been identified that at the moment allegedly are not holding up those values, and we've taken positive action on them. That's what I expect.
So your line on this, I mean, you're not launching a big review or anything. This is a few bad apples in an otherwise good bunch.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's, which is probably pretty consistent with any large organisation that you have, and that's why I just want to reinforce that. I get around all our corrections facilities. I deal with corrections on a daily basis. We had a ceremony in Whanganui just last week for one of our community-based corrections officers who was severely stabbed doing his job, and he received a Gold Merit Award for the bravery in terms of preventing his colleagues from Mark, being injured as well.
No, and kudos to that particular officer. Can you just run us through getting from, for a staff member, correction staff member, going to work every day, how many layers of security do they go through to get into the cells?
Well, I'm not going to talk about details because why would I explain how the correction system works to the people that are outside it, especially those that are members of organised crime and gangs that want to defeat.
Some idea because they're getting
yes, I do. Yes, I do, but I'm not going to talk about our security measures inside our prisons when you've got gang members and organised crime groups that dedicate a lot of their time to trying to defeat them. So I'm not going to talk about them publicly. All I'd say is that we've got a world-class correction system. They are very, very effective. It's a big organisation, and you are going to get some people sometimes that depart from the values of that organisation. The important thing is as a government, I've been very clear as the Minister, both with corrections and police, that we're going after organised crime and gangs, and they've been very effective, and it's becoming much harder to be a gang member in our country.
Mark Mitchell, Corrections Police Minister, appreciate your time this morning. Thanks for being with me as always. 12 after 7, you're watching Ryan Bridge today. Nvidia, world's biggest company, $5 trillion. How much is $5 trillion? Who knows? It's like too much, more than I've got in my back pocket. The CEO's worth about $180 billion. They're announcing their quarterly results in just over an hour's time. And this matters. This moves markets. It's that big, this thing. It's an absolute beast. So the last time, and I had a look at, because if you want to go play the market in the next 24 hours, here are my tips for you. Don't take them. But so over the last 5 years, Nvidia averaged a 2.6% gain the day after their earnings. That was the average. The swing was anywhere up to 6.3% or 6 down. However, the last time that they reported results, we actually mentioned them on the show to you. The last time the stock fell 5.5%, despite the fact they made a bunch of money. In fact, they made more money in that result than the analysts were expecting. So how do you make more money than what was expected and your share price go down? That's the hype. People were so hyped and so buzzed and putting so much money into the stock that they kind of overshot the mark. So anyway, it's a risky thing to do. We'll have details for you before 9 this morning. Let's go to some breaking news out of the US now, where the former Cuban president Raul Castro has been charged with murder. Castro is being charged along with 5 others for allegedly shooting down 2 civilian aircraft in 1996, killing 4 people. And this just in from the US Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche.
As alleged in the indictment, Raul Castro and 5 co-defendants participated in a conspiracy that ended with Cuban military aircraft firing missiles at those civilian planes and killing 4 Americans. Nations and their leaders cannot be permitted to target Americans, kill them, and not face accountability. President Trump is committed to restoring a very simple but important principle. If you kill Americans, we will pursue you, no matter who you are, no matter what title you hold, and in this case, no matter how much time has passed.
Of course, now everyone's going, well, is this step 1 of Cuba kicking off? And I spoke to Mitch McCann on the radio this morning. He's based in New York. He's a journalist there. And he said it's not getting to that point. Basically, voters are so fed up with Iran, I think there's a 60% disapproval rating for the war, that Trump is going to be a lot more careful when it comes to Cuba. And don't forget, the midterms are coming. Let's go to the UK now very quickly. This is Wes Streeting. He is the right of the centre of the Labour Party candidate. Remember, Ed Miliband is going for the left. That's the King of the North. Andy Burnham, King of the North. But Wes Streeting is the right of the party contenders. Here's what he had to say taking on reform.
I left the government because we are in the fight of our lives against nationalism. And it is a fight that we are currently losing. Unless we change course, we risk handing the keys of number 10 to reform. And I do not want that on our consciences.
Good luck with that one. Right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, the dazzling lights of Dubai are fading. Could we be the benefactors? That's next.
It only costs a few dollars, but it all adds up.
What do you mean?
Well, every little donation we make contributes to something bigger.
How bigger? Really bigger. Well,
Together, we make the chopper. Donate now to the Westpac Chopper Appeal.
Do you want a warm, healthy home? Insulate your walls with Insulmax. The easy, cost-effective way to insulate your walls, usually in just one day. Wall insulation without renovation for older Kiwi homes. Fully certified for New Zealand conditions. Join the thousands of Kiwis enjoying a warm, dry, energy-efficient home with Insulmax retrofit wall insulation. Visit nzherald.co.nz to book your free home assessment.
For 150 years, public trust has helped generations of New Zealanders with their wills. Make yours today and ensure the things that matter go to the people that matter.
With the goodness of grains, Molenbeek. Keep me going longer!
I want my Molenbeek!
Hey, we're Maddie and PJ from The Hits, and we would love for you to hang out with us in the afternoon.
Billy! I'm a farmer!
Paige, babe, you're not a farmer, you're married to a farmer. Two very different things.
I can't hear you! Does this thing have a bell?
Afternoons with Maddie and PJ on The Hits and iHeartRadio. Farming not included.
So, how many cows have you actually milked?
Let's not get bogged down in the details.
We've done few subdivision with GJ Gardner, and from the resource consent to the building consent, getting the council permits and stuff, always GJ Gardners are ahead and helping us out through the whole process, and it was so easy working with GJ.
We just switched to 2 degrees. Well, we tested the networks and couldn't see any difference, but 2 degrees has free Aussie business roaming, and they're the fastest growing business network.
Can I have what she's having?
Stop paying the waiting tax. The money you could miss out on by delaying the start of your investment journey. Up your tempo with Tempo, the guided investment app that helps you get started. Don't delay because you don't think you have enough time, money, or know-how. All you need is a goal, and our guidance will help with the rest. You can do it. We can help. Here's how. Download Tempo now.
Welcome back. It is 19 minutes after 7. It is a tax haven. It is an expat mecca, Dubai. It's always been a hot ticket. Flight connections. In fact, 90% of the residents there are expats. One of the highest concentrations of billionaires, no income tax, no capital gains, no inheritance. But this is the new face of Dubai. Drone strikes on Dubai and other Gulf states mean people are fleeing. Not all, but initial reports suggested tens of thousands were getting out. The question now is, where are they going? According to this Economist article, which was published this week, New Zealand is near the top of the list. There are about 35 countries who are seriously competing for Dubai's rich and successful. And joining us now is Stuart Nash, immigration lawyer. Stuart Nash, what is the name of your firm?
Nash Kelly, not an immigration lawyer, but a consultant.
Consultant, forgive us. We were going to speak to an immigration lawyer out of Hong Kong. We will hopefully bring you them later in the program. Stuart, lovely to have you here on the show.
Thanks for having me, Ryan.
So is this a real thing? The Economist article is kind of hinting at it. Is it happening?
100%. Look, Dubai's about 600 miles from Tehran. Auckland's about 9,000 miles from Tehran. You know, distance, which was once one of the barriers to coming into New Zealand, is now a major advantage. And if you have a look at what's happening around the world, actually, you know, you've got the saber rattling in the Straits of Taiwan, you've got war in Europe, you've obviously got everything that's going on in the Middle East, you've got a whole lot of political uncertainty, well, certainly disruption in the United States. We are seen as sort of the paradise at the bottom of the world.
So is it the fact that, Dubai's obviously got no income tax, which is a huge draw card, but increasingly that's becoming less important and safety is actually becoming the key driver.
100%. So what we say is, look, by and large, a lot of the ultra-high net worth individuals are looking for a tax haven. But for the first time in a long time, if not ever, they're now looking for a safe haven. And so, you know, we're not getting, it's not a flood, but there's nearly 700 people that have come into New Zealand under our Golden Visa. The name is the Active Investor Plus, but it's the Golden Visa. And that's, that's brought about, or bringing about $4 billion into our economy that must be deployed in active investments. It is actually a really, really cool visa, and we're benefiting from what's happening in the Middle East.
What else can we do to attract these people here? Is there more we can do, or is this actually enough?
Well, our geographic location is fantastic. There's no doubt about that. Look, we're not going to have this sort of tax haven that Dubai is. We don't want that in any way, shape or form. We've got a safe society. Our global reputation is one of transparency. We're safe. So we're sort of everything that people are looking for either a plan B or, like I said, a safe haven. And we're seeing more and more families. You talked about the CEO of Nvidia being worth about $180 billion.
Yeah, massive.
There are a couple of people in New Zealand at the moment that's not quite that level of wealth, but not far off. People would be surprised. And the thing they love...
Who are living here?
Who are living here, or who are investing here and are seeking New Zealand permanent residency.
Like who are right now seeking residency?
Right now seeking residency.
People worth what, 150 billion
bucks? Worth 100 billion US anyway.
Jeepers.
Amazing, right? And so these
do we even have a nice enough house to offer them?
We have. Well, this is the great thing about New Zealand First, and you know the title of the party is New Zealand First. They said you can only buy a house in New Zealand if it's over $5 million. So it doesn't impact upon the housing market like a lot of these other visas and a number of other countries do. So if you want to become a resident in, I think it was Portugal, you had to buy a house. Same in Turkey. In New Zealand, you don't have to. But if you do buy property, it's only one, and it's over $5 million.
Are you surprised, or maybe not surprised, given the political climate over in the US, at the number of Americans who are wanting to come here? Like, I sort of thought this would be an Asia story, this would be a China story, this would be... But it's really a massive American story too.
Yeah, about 35%, or about 240 of those who have applied for the visa have come from the United States. I'm not surprised. People said to me when Trump was elected that this must be great for business. And I said, look, the way that American politics are at the moment, if Kamala Harris had been elected, then it just would have been people from the other side of the political spectrum. But there are a lot of people who are looking for a plan B, but it's not just politics. So I never criticise another country's president in any way, shape or form. It's just not my role, not my job. But when you start talking to people, there are a variety of reasons. One is politics, climate change, law and order. I mean, the fact that our police don't carry guns, we haven't got a gun culture like they have in the United States. So it's not just political, there's a whole raft of reasons.
Hey, if I was to come on board as a client of one of yours, would you be there to help me out personally post-November?
I'm hoping Nash Kelly will be there to help you out personally. Of course, we will offer you the absolute best of service.
Okay, so are you running? That's the question. I mean, you mentioned New Zealand First, not me.
Oh, look, well, there's no doubt about it, and I think most of your listeners will understand that New Zealand First is now the party that represents good, hard-working Kiwis. But I haven't got an announcement to make, and if I did have an announcement to make, you'd be the first to hear about it.
Okay, we'll hold you to that when it comes, because it's clearly a when, not if. Politics-wise, I mean, we had you on election night, last election, and I know you always do your numbers. What's the likely outcome here, you reckon?
I don't have much doubt that it'll be a centre-right coalition. And I'm not being subjective in any way, shape or form. I'm just listening to what people tell me. I work across Auckland, Wellington, Hawke's Bay, so I get a really good snapshot of what's happening in the regions, but also what's happening in our big cities when talking to business people. And it seems that there will be a much stronger New Zealand First, there'll be a weaker National, ACT will have some play. I think what's happening from what I'm seeing is good centre Labour voters are really put off by Greens and certainly Te Pāti Māori.
Yeah. That's what the surveys are telling us too, the polls are telling us as well. Good to see you this morning, Stuart. We'll look forward to the announcement sometime soon. Stuart Nash, who is an immigration consultant with us this morning, 25 minutes after 7. Right, coming up next, it is the A-League Grand Final at Go Media Stadium. It is officially a sellout. We'll speak to a former All-White next.
When building for investment, it's important to find a team that you can trust.
We decided to build the GJs because of the good quality that they always provide us.
They help us throughout the whole process of getting the resource consent to the building consent, and their contracts are very easy to understand. We have built 4 houses with GJ Gardeners, and it's just easier every time we work with them.
I'll definitely recommend GJs to all of my friends and family.
If you're thinking of building, choose the builder you'll want to build with time and time again.
In 1985, my grandfather set out to make the world a better tea. That's why we grow our own, unlike other tea companies. Then pick the best leaves by hand, not machine, and pack it right here in Sri Lanka. But it's not just the taste that makes our tea better. 15% of our profit goes to humanity and to the elephants. As my grandfather said,
do try it.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Paul, and now I'm going to help you solve your problems with Chelsea. Just DM us your problems, and together, let's fix them. Baking solves everything. DM us now.
Speaking to the acting Prime Minister, does he stand by all of it? You don't shout out like some bunch of clowns at university.
My message to the union is very clear. Don't
The New Zealand Herald, news worth knowing.
We all have a routine to help us get through the week. But that doesn't mean it has to feel so routine. Because with my food bag, you can come home knowing you've always got a yum meal to dish up. With new recipes to try and plenty of favourites that are simple, healthy and always delicious. It's a dinner routine that isn't stuck on repeat. My food bag. Dinner done better.
Make way for the designated driver.
So it was pitch black, middle of the night.
Where are we going?
We saw this tree. It was the tallest tree ever. And then we walked and walked. Then we saw a cow. Well, Mom did.
That's quite an adventure, buddy.
Yeah, it kind of was. What do you want to do now?
Welcome back. It is 28 minutes after 7. The A-League Grand Final at Go Media Stadium is officially a sellout. This is football, by the way. Around 2,000 extra tickets released last night. They have been snapped up, and they were snapped up within minutes of going on sale. 28,000 fans expected. Fred de Jong, former All-White, with me live this morning. Fred, good morning.
Good morning.
It's going to be a good weekend.
Big day, big occasion, you know, and having the final here in New Zealand just adds to that spectacle. You know, it's a sellout. People are wanting to get there, so expect a big night.
Last year we nearly got to this point, but fell short. Still, year 2 for this franchise. How did they get here? This is the biggest thing in Australasian football, right?
Yeah. Money talks. In essence, you know, the owners have invested heavily in their side, in the league, and this is the result of that. You know, and they're a very, very well-run club, well coached, and so yeah, in their second year, beyond all expectations, I think they've made the final.
Where have all the players come from?
Well, they've got 5 imports, and so that helps because the imports do make a difference in with this team. And so, but then they've also used, they've been quite judicious in the way they've added to those imports, and they've put together a decent team.
Isn't it funny how the fans don't care where the players come from? You know, in rugby, everyone's so hung up on where are they born,
No. It's like if you can get the results, then people just take them on board from wherever they are. Doesn't really matter.
Who's going to get the results this weekend?
I think it'll be tight. I think it'll be a real tight game. I think, both sides, they're not the most expansive teams in the league. I think we've just seen Newcastle and Adelaide. They play the nicest football. They're very easy on the eye. They've been sort of cast aside now, and you're left with 2 sort of pragmatic teams. Probably the worrying stat for Auckland under Patrick Kosnorbo, the Sydney coach, haven't lost yet. He came in March. They haven't lost a game under him yet. So that's a bit of a sticking point. But I do think Auckland, with the crowd on their side, home advantage, I do think they go into it with a slight edge. But I also think that probably the game will be decided by a single goal, maybe a set piece.
How popular is football in Australia?
Very.
So they'll have a lot of fans coming over here.
Yeah, there'll be a few because Sydney haven't been in the final for I think 6-7 years. Was the last time, and so yeah, they'll be keen. They used to be the juggernaut of the A-League, and that mantle sort of passed to Melbourne City, who have been in 3 of the last 4 grand finals. But Sydney, you can just see Sydney with Kosnorbo coming in and a bit of investment in their team. They're starting to improve again. So it was a big game.
Fred, this is also a bit of an indictment, isn't it, a little bit embarrassing for the Phoenix? Because how long have they been around now?
18 years.
18 years. And this club's been around 2 years.
Yeah, I think, and that shows the investment that the new owners have put in and the effort that they've put in. But it is an indictment on the Phoenix that they haven't got their act together and haven't sort of had multiple goes at year on year on year. Trying, just building a team, adding those little components together to get themselves across the line to make a grand final.
How about Arsenal?
Brilliant.
Great.
Brilliant. 20 years, mate. That's a long time.
22 years it's been, and they are literally on the streets dancing right now.
Exactly. My brother's over there.
Is he?
Yeah.
Good to see you, Fred. Thank you. Fred de Jong, former All-White. That game this weekend in Auckland, 28 away from 8. Here's Neva.
Herald Now News, powered by Newstalk ZB.
The Union for Corrections Workers is raising the alarm about corruption following the arrest of 14 staff at Auckland prisons yesterday. Court documents show 12 people are charged with accepting bribes. Some are also charged with conspiring to supply a Class A drug, namely methamphetamine, to prisoners. Corrections Association President Floyd du Plessis is frustrated the body's long-standing concerns have not been addressed, and he says it's a shocking reminder of what can happen when an organisation doesn't do more to prevent corruption. Marlborough Police are seeking answers after an infant was found dead on a roadside in Blenheim. Police were called to Waido Bar Road on Tuesday afternoon after a machinery operator discovered the baby. Area Commander Inspector Simon Faltham says that officers are investigating how the baby came to be there, and he says they're extremely concerned for the welfare of the infant's family and want to speak to them as urgently as possible and offer support. A suggestion there's merit to doing a stocktake of our regulatory landscape. A first-of-its-kind report finds close to 270 organisations are carrying out regulatory functions that often overlap and do the same things. New Zealand Initiative Chair Roger Partridge says we used to have one of the best regulatory systems in the OECD, but it's become too hodgepodge. He says we need to better understand the system before determining exactly who should do what. A members' bill aiming to define the term woman and man in law has passed its first reading in Parliament. The New Zealand First Bill aims to define the terms woman and man in law. National and ACT have agreed to support it to select committee. Former Cuban President Raul Castro has been indicted in the US on murder charges. They relate to a 1996 Cuban military attack on 2 civilian jets operated by Cuban exiles in which 4 people died. 94-year-old Raul Castro was last seen in public earlier this month. The Transport Minister says New Zealand has no plans to follow Australia and crack down on e-bikes and scooters just yet. In Queensland, authorities are introducing reforms that include a minimum age, expanded police powers, greater fines and speed limits on footpaths. Chris Bishop says that the government's looking at letting riders use cycle lanes, which many already do. A Herald investigation using a speed gun clocked e-bikes and e-scooters travelling at up to 53 kilometres an hour on Auckland's northwestern cycleway. A teenager was hospitalised earlier this month after crashing a high-powered electric dirt bike into a Newmarket shop.
Herald Now Sport.
Breakers basketball general manager Dylan Boucher is celebrating signing World Cup winning coach Gordon Herbert to lead the ANBL side on a 2-year deal. Outside back Will Jordan will make a conditional return from injury for the Crusaders in Friday's Super Rugby match with the Chiefs at Christchurch. Southampton's appealing their expulsion from football's championship playoff final, often labelled the richest match in the sport, because they claim the punishment bears no proportion to the offence of spying on opponents.
Herald Now Weather.
Good morning. A wet and windy night for many in the South Island. We do have a slow-moving front responsible. That tracks up the South Island today with high pressure for the North Island, so still settled there. But the heavy rain watches for the ranges of Westland and parts of Fiordland continue today. Same too with the strong wind watches for Fiordland, Otago, Southland, Stewart Island and the Canterbury High Country. So starting wet for the lower south, but things do clear this afternoon, at least down to showers. Winds turn southwest across the day. High cloud increases in the east, bringing a few afternoon showers. A little more rain for the west coast as that front tracks north, with just the odd morning shower for Nelson. It's looking good for the lower north today. Once any fog clears for the usual spots, there will be strong northerlies for Wellington, but easing back tonight. It's a lovely day for the northeast. Again, once any morning fog or frost clears, could be an afternoon shower or two for Rotorua and Bay of Plenty. And cloudy periods with a few showers for the upper north. Although Hamilton, you'll remain dry with a moderate nor'easterly for a time this afternoon.
Right, the time is 23 minutes after 7. You're watching Ryan Bridge today. Great to have your company. So we've had that meeting between Xi Jinping and Putin over in Beijing. So Xi welcomes Trump, then Xi welcomes Putin. And last night we had the Foreign Minister, Winston Peters, saying this is Asia's time to shine. This is the Asian century. So what do we need to do to make sure that we're cashing in on this? By the way, just while we're talking about Putin, last night, old mate Starmer over in the UK had to relax some sanctions on the Russians in order to get more oil in, and he's now been accused of, well, literally in the House of Commons, his opponent said he is responsible for the deaths of Ukrainians because that money, that oil revenue, will go towards the Russian war machine, which is right now fighting Ukraine. So a very difficult position to be in, especially when you want to keep the taps on over in the UK. It is 22 minutes away from 8 now, and it's time to talk business, thanks to our partners Forsyth Bar. Speaking of oil, we will look at the price now with Garth Bray. Garth, good morning.
Morning, Ryan.
Coming down a bit.
Coming down quite a bit, nearly 6% actually. I think 104.99 last time I checked. And that's quite a drop. It's quite a drop in the futures right the way through the next quarter, and I think the price out to about 12 months is down to about $80 a barrel. A lot of that is because we've just seen about 6 million barrels on the move, on the water, out of the Gulf through the Strait of Hormuz. 3 big super tankers. 2 of them, I think, were Chinese flagged, and 1 was a South Korean flagged one. So, I mean, some of the oil was loaded onto these things on like the 27th of February. It's been sitting there for a wee while.
It's been a while.
But this is the Iranians have announced that they've created this new Persian Gulf Strait Authority to sort of regulate traffic there, which sort of seems to be getting through. And the stuff's on the move and hasn't been interdicted yet by the US, although there was a ship that had made it all the way to sort of Malaysia, Straits of Malacca, which is a bit of a grey zone where they sort of offload oil onto other ships that did get pounced upon. That was an Iranian one yesterday. So overall, the price is generally moving down. The mood is up.
Good. For now.
For now.
Must caveat,
For now.
Every day there's a different headline.
Something else will prop in there. Just keep your dial locked to your show.
Zespri is heading in the right direction. Goodness me.
My word, yeah. Look, selling basically a lot more fruit and selling it for a lot more money is the takeaway really there. I think we had chatting to Chase into break earlier on Herald Now Business. 3.56 billion in returns, direct returns to the industry here out of this season, which is a record. I think that's 5.9 billion from sales. I think there's about another 213 million from the IP and licensing and that kind of stuff. And they are basically just selling stacks as well from stuff they grow in Italy and France, because they have like sort of off-season stuff that they grow there, which has been really good for two reasons. One, because with all the disruption with the oil prices and everything being messed up, they've got stock on hand if there's a problem, and also it just means there's always a little Zespri on the shelf somewhere in Europe or wherever they're getting the returns.
They just go going from strength to strength, don't they?
Yeah.
People love it. Hey, Nvidia reporting later this morning, world's biggest company. It's a big deal.
It is a big deal because it's if it comes in with bad news, then people start going, oh, the AI boom could be over, the US market starts to drop, all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's probably going to crack another record. I think 80% earnings growth year on year is what's expected, sort of 73 billion, I think it is, or 78 billion in data center revenues and so on. So it'll probably hit all of that. The expectation is in the past it sort of ebbs a little bit, the stock price after that, because people have already seen from how its customers are doing in the last couple of weeks that it'll probably do well. And I guess one of the analysts I was chatting to this morning said, look at what they're going to say about how they're investing in the next 6 to 12 months, because that's a bit of the picture as well. But yeah, I mean, you can't go past it. They're a huge company there. And I'm just looking there now, that I think the Dow closes in about 20 minutes. They've cracked the 50,000 mark again in intraday trading. See if that hangs on there. Everybody's up. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Garth Bray with Business this morning. And we talk business every day thanks to our partners, Forsyth Bar. By the way, a couple of little things for you. James Murdoch, Rupert Murdoch's son, one of them, not the eldest. Remember, the eldest one got the control of the companies because there was a big dispute. You should watch the Netflix documentary if you haven't already. It's very good. So oldest son gets control of the empire, of Dad's empire. But the other kids get $1 billion each, and James Murdoch is spending some of his. Last night he shelled out $300 million. He has bought himself half of Vox Media's assets. That half of the assets includes New York Magazine. His dad used to own that. And it's interesting what he said there, that James Murdoch. He says, we are not interested in daily news business. We want longer form, thoughtful journalism that can speak to culture. So he's bought New York Magazine, he's bought a whole bunch of other things, spin-offs like The Cut, Vulture, The Intelligencer, if you've heard of some of these. So an interesting strategy from him, one of the Murdoch sons, heir to the empire. 18 away from 8, back after this.
Stop paying the waiting tax. The money you could miss out on by delaying the start of your investment journey. Up your tempo with Tempo, the guided investment app that helps you get started. Don't delay because you don't think you have enough time, money, or know-how. All you need is a goal, and our guidance will help with the rest. You can do it. We can help. Here's how. Download Tempo now.
For 150 years, public trust has helped generations of New Zealanders with their wills. Make yours today and ensure the things that matter go to the people that matter.
Here she is. How's the business going?
Good, actually. We just switched to 2 degrees. Well, we tested the networks and couldn't see any difference. But 2 degrees has free Aussie business roaming. With Flex, we get instant control of phone plans, data usage, and cost centre reporting. And they're the fastest growing business network.
Can I have what she's having?
And R&B. Flavour.
Do you want a warm, healthy home? Insulate your walls with Insulmax. The easy, Cost-effective way to insulate your walls, usually in just one day. Wall insulation without renovation for older Kiwi homes. Fully certified for New Zealand conditions. Join the thousands of Kiwis enjoying a warm, dry, energy-efficient home with Insulmax retrofit wall insulation. Visit nzherald.co.nz to book your free home assessment.
With the goodness of grains, Molenbeek. Keep me going on!
I want my Molenbeek!
Oh, it's a proper Lamington.
It only costs a few dollars, but it all adds up.
What do you mean?
Well, every little donation we make contributes to something bigger.
How bigger?
Really bigger. Still require a bit more information here.
Together, we are powerful.
Come on, Jeff. Well,
Oh, look. Together, we make the chopper. Donate now to the Westpac Chopper Appeal.
Welcome back. It is 7:45. Here is some interesting information for you this morning. If you are into athletics and if you take drugs, the enhanced games are coming for you this weekend. It's Memorial Day weekend in America and Las Vegas is where they're taking place. There are 20 athletes. We're going to talk about this after 8 o'clock, so we'll give you more information then. You can't enter, by the way. It's already done and dusted. But 40 athletes. The prize pool is $25 million. So let me tell you how much you will get for every sprint world record that is broken. And remember, that's going to be easy because these guys are taking enhancement drugs. For every 50-metre freestyle in the pool or 100-metre sprint on the track, $1 million is yours. For anyone who wins an event, period, doesn't even break a record, $250,000. You actually have a couple of former Olympic athletes who are taking part in this, and they're basically at the end of their careers, they don't care anymore. But to try and combat it, places like World Aquatics have got new rules that say if you've got anything to do with that, you have nothing to do with us. So there's no going back, basically, once you've gone to the dark side. 14 minutes away from 8 o'clock. They've won a top award for environmentally friendly farming, so why is it still costing a Canterbury couple $150,000 plus for consents? Are the targets unrealistic? Consent has already cost Castle Ridge Station $150,000, could cost $100,000 more if the case goes to a hearing. That's all despite the farm winning the supreme title at the Canterbury Balanced Farm Environment Awards, recognising decades of stewardship. Kerry Harmer, Fed Farmers Mid-Canterbury Provincial President, is with us this morning. Kerry, good morning.
Morning.
Nice to have you on the program.
Good
Kerry,
morning.
so this is your farm we're talking about, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is. It's been in the family for over 30 years.
And what's going on with your consents?
We've been in the consenting process for since 2016, and it's been a very long, drawn-out process that has included two governments and a whole lot of complications from politicians, which has meant that we are still in limbo.
Right, so what are you in limbo over exactly?
So we're trying to get a land use consent, which is basically, replacing an old land use consent that we got in 2016, and it's basically enabling us to continue to do what we are doing. So it's not asking for permission to irrigate or change land use or do anything different, intensify any more than we have been. It's actually only asking to continue to do what we've been doing. And we live in a sensitive lake zone, so we are required to get a resource consent to farm.
This is not dairy we're talking about. This is sheep, Angus cattle, deer, right?
Correct. Extensive high country. We have a stocking rate of just under 3 stock units per hectare. So, there's 20,000 stock units on a 6,000 hectare property that you just don't see very often.
What is the worry from the regional council? What are they worried that obviously there has been delays, there have been costs for consent just to keep doing what you have been doing for so long, for generations. What's the worry, do you think, Kerry?
The issue we have is that the Ashburton Lakes are nationally significant, and the Land and Regional Water Plan have put targets on those lakes that currently those lakes are not achieving. And so there's been a lot of media in the past about that. So we've worked pretty hard to try and reduce our footprint and improve the water that leaves our property and heads into those lakes. And the issue we have is that the lake targets have been set at such a point that actually it's probably going to be very aspirational and almost impossible to ever achieve those levels.
We spoke to Andrew Hoggard last week. You said that the on-farm plan, there's been a delay to the on-farm water management plan, that kind of thing. Does that affect this at all?
Yes, it does. We have been waiting to see what the reforms were going to bring through, to see whether they could help us in our process and avoid hearing. We don't yet know, because we were fully publicly notified to go to hearing. So we don't actually know yet whether that's going to help us along the line. We're very much in limbo and still spending money on lawyers and preparing a case, basically.
Kerry, does it feel a bit odd that you can't farm your own land in a country that, you know, is punching above its weight in terms of green credentials and agriculture?
Yeah, I think the worst thing is that we know we are doing pretty much everything we possibly can to improve what we do, and we're not the only ones causing the problem. You know, we're only a small part of all the impacts on those lakes, yet we've been targeted. And the Balanced Farm Environment Awards was an awesome opportunity to showcase the things that we have been doing. And I think that is making a difference. We do seem to be getting a little bit of traction with ECAN, but the system has become so convoluted that it's really difficult.
Kerry, nice to have you on the program this morning. Thanks so much for being with me. Kerry Harmer, farmer, Mid-Canterbury. Time is 9 to 8. Seek employment data out today. April job ads up 0.8% month on month, up 13% year on year. Number of applicants down slightly for the month, 1.6%. On ZB this morning, I spoke with Alan McDonald, Employers Manufacturers Association. I asked him, should we, given where we were a year ago, take these numbers, although they're good, with a bit of grain of salt?
Well, I think it's slightly encouraging that the number of ads is up, but I looked at that year-on-year figure, which is over 13%, and I thought, well, let's have a look at last year. So April 1 last year, and it doesn't seem like a year ago, but that was when Mr. Trump announced his tariffs. That was the big day for that. And unemployment was at 5.1, it's at 5.4 now, and business confidence dropped about 10 points in that month. So, if you look at that year-on-year figure, April last year was a pretty rugged year, although April this year is not a heck of a lot better given that we're in that fuel crisis as well. So it's slightly encouraging, I guess, that those job numbers have held up a bit.
Yeah, my sense is that businesses are kind of getting used to the knocks, and, if you sat around and waited all day for a perfect condition to hire somebody, you'd probably actually never hire anyone at the moment.
Well, I think that's been the case for a little while. So, but don't forget too that there was some pretty encouraging and pretty strong signs pre the fuel crisis. This is just the latest knock, and some of those sectors in there, they were going quite strongly, and our export sector still is going strongly. So there's some underpinning things, I think, holding those numbers up.
What about AI? This mentions that we've had a doubling in the mentioning of AI in job ads. Are we embracing it in the way that we should be? Are we training the kids to use it in the way that they should be so they can come into new jobs?
I think AI, it's not a surprise. AI is developing so rapidly. I think the biggest problem is, or the biggest issue facing businesses is, because it's moving so fast, how do they actually get their heads around it and then apply it to their businesses? Like some of the changes we're seeing in just the ability of AI. I was talking to a group of people who specialise in this stuff, and there's an international test that was developed by 150 PhDs and area specialists. It's 2,500 questions. 9 months ago, a human being was answering 1% of those questions, and AI was answering 1.7. That number now for AI is is nearly 70%. That's the strides that it's making in teaching itself. So how you apply some of that to your business is the issue.
Alan, job ads, you mentioned we were down in the dumps last April. Yes, we're up 13%. When do you think we're going to see hiring sprees happening?
Oh, I don't think we'll see a hiring spree, Ryan. I think once we get some kind of final resolution out of the Straits of Hormuz and Iran, or if we are going to get one of those, then I think you'll see some incremental growth. It won't be a hockey stick, but we're all looking for some steadiness and some stability in the settings so that we can start getting on with some things. But it is encouraging that that data is holding up a little bit in terms of hiring people.
Totally. It is 5 away from 8, and we'll take a quick break.
So it was pitch black, middle of the night. Where are we going? We saw this tree. It was the tallest tree ever. And then we walked and walked. Then we saw a cow. Well, Mom did.
That's quite an adventure, buddy.
Yeah, it kind of was. What do you want to do now?
Suzanne Paul, and now I'm going to help you solve your problems with Chelsea. Just DM us your problems and together let's fix them. Baking solves everything. DM us now.
You're working hard to get to where you want to go. Now's the time to have a retirement plan that aligns with your goals. Head to milfordasset.com to find out how we can help. Milford, invested in you.
In 1985, my grandfather set out to make the world a better tea. That's why we grow our own, unlike other tea companies. Then pick the best leaves by hand, not machine, and pack it right here in Sri Lanka. But it's not just the taste that makes our tea better. 15% of our profit goes to humanity. And to the elephants. As my grandfather said,
do try it.
What is this?
Guys, make way. For the designated driver.
We have completed 4 builds with GJ. Every time we want to think of building, we always go back to GJ.
It's a really good experience throughout the whole process.
They deliver what they promise on, and it feels like working with a family member. It's very easy and trustworthy to work with GJ.
Welcome back. It is coming up to 8 o'clock. In Northland, according to a report by David Fisher, journalist for The Herald, senior journalist with The Herald, many Māori parents raise their children to be cautious when encountering the police. But what happened when a young Māori man didn't grow up in New Zealand, didn't get the talk? David Fisher tells us.
This is Bank Street in Whangarei, and it was here that Jamie Laurie had an encounter with police that would change the course of his life.
This was a young man who tried to do something to help an unknown fellow citizen who was clearly causing problems, de-escalate a situation, and he found himself face down on the pavement, getting the thrashing.
It's 12:35 a.m. A drunk man known to CitySafe is yelling and charging at security guards in central Whangarei. Enter Jamie Laurie.
This is Jamie doing his best to de-escalate, have a chat to him and get him off the road. And Mr. Laurie doing his best to put himself between Mr. and the city safe.
By the time police arrive, Laurie has calmed the other man. Officers speak with the pair for several minutes before suddenly arresting Laurie. Then the officers lift Laurie, arms behind his back, off the ground before marching him hunched over across the road to a police car. Laurie says things escalated further once he was handcuffed and put into a police car.
And that's when really the assaulting started. The arresting officer kneed me in the head as he put me in the police car.
It's a claim the officer denies, saying handcuffed Laurie grabbed at his belt and his knee was needed to move the young man into the vehicle. Then Laurie gets to the police station.
So they arrived at the Sally Port. Mr. Laurie's been taken over, gets a head on the wall for his troubles. He's being held forcibly there. You can see they give it another push. Really showing no signs of resistance. You have to question yourself why. He's been taken to the ground here because they asked him to remove his nose ring, and that's perfectly normal in police custody. You have to remove all jewellery, but he'd never taken it out before, and so he said, I'm not sure. So he invited the police officers to help him. What he didn't invite was for them to throw him to the ground, hold him down, and cut him out with pliers.
Laurie repeatedly sets off a metal detector and becomes so frustrated with police, he strips naked to show he's not concealing anything.
I thought at that point, you've already taken everything else. You may as well have it all. So then I stripped naked. I was completely stomped on and depleted.
There is a bit of missing footage here, isn't there? We've got a 7-minute gap.
Yeah.
And what is said to have happened during that time, and where is the footage? Police alleged that during that missing period, Laurie headbutted an officer. Laurie says an officer tried to assault him. The missing 7 minutes of CCTV covered exactly this period, but was accidentally overwritten by the officer Laurie claims tried to assault him. 3.5 years after his arrest, Laurie was found not guilty of disorderly conduct, resisting arrest, and assault. A charge of not providing his details was tossed out. Police gave conflicting stories over that charge, and neither amounted to a crime.
To be honest, I think I was stereotyped. A young Māori boy out in town causing trouble. Maybe that's all I'd look like to them. If you make a mistake, you own up to it, and you make it right. I don't like to put the blame on the New Zealand police themselves, because that night it was individuals that worked for the New Zealand police that took actions into their own hands.
Northern Police say officers did not realise Laurie was not involved in the fight they had been called out to resolve, and said the situation could have been avoided if he had simply provided his details. The Independent Police Conduct Authority has declined to investigate, saying the CCTV footage was too poor in quality to reach findings on key allegations, and that other matters raised had been resolved in court.
Time is 3 minutes after 8. Nice to have your company this Thursday, the 21st of May. On the show this hour, Winston Peters says we're living in the Asian century as China flexes with 2 state visits, one from Trump, one from Putin. We look at whether our ties to Asia are strong enough to withstand the next couple of decades. And 16 properties have been sold under the new golden visa rules. We look at whether overseas buyers are being locked out by a law which rules on sensitive land. Juiced, doped, And on the roids, the enhanced games debut this weekend in Sin City. So what can we expect to see? Probably a lot of fast action, I would assume. It is 4 after 8 now. Let's get to Neva.
Herald Now News, powered by Newstalk ZB.
The Union for Corrections Workers is raising the alarm about corruption following the arrest of 14 staff at Auckland prisons yesterday. Court documents show 12 people are charged with accepting bribes. Some are also charged with conspiring to supply a Class A drug, namely methamphetamine, to prisoners. Corrections Association President Floyd du Plessis is frustrated the body's long-standing concerns have not been addressed, and he says it's a shocking reminder of what can happen when an organisation doesn't do more to prevent corruption. Marlborough Police are seeking answers after an infant was found dead on a roadside in Blenheim. Police were called to Waido Bar Road on Tuesday afternoon after a machinery operator discovered the baby. Area Commander Inspector Simon Faltham says that officers are investigating how the baby came to be there, and he says they're extremely concerned for the welfare of the infant's family and want to speak to them as urgently as possible and offer support. A suggestion there's merit to doing a stocktake of our regulatory landscape. A first-of-its-kind report finds close to 270 organisations are carrying out regulatory functions that often overlap and do the same things. New Zealand Initiative Chair Roger Partridge says we used to have one of the best regulatory systems in the OECD, but it's become too hodgepodge. He says we need to better understand the system before determining exactly who should do what. A members' bill aiming to define the term woman and man in law has passed its first reading in Parliament. The New Zealand First Bill aims to define the terms woman and man in law. National and ACT have agreed to support it to select committee. Former Cuban President Raul Castro has been indicted in the US on murder charges. They relate to a 1996 Cuban military attack on 2 civilian jets operated by Cuban exiles in which 4 people died. 94-year-old Raul Castro was last seen in public earlier this month. The Transport Minister says New Zealand has no plans to follow Australia and crack down on e-bikes and scooters just yet. In Queensland, authorities are introducing reforms that include a minimum age, expanded police powers, greater fines and speed limits on footpaths. Chris Bishop says that the government's looking at letting riders use cycle lanes, which many already do. A Herald investigation using a speed gun clocked e-bikes and e-scooters travelling at up to 53 kilometres an hour on Auckland's northwestern cycleway. A teenager was hospitalised earlier this month after crashing a high-powered electric dirt bike into a Newmarket shop.
Herald Now Sport.
Breakers basketball general manager Dylan Boucher is celebrating signing World Cup winning coach Gordon Herbert to lead the ANBL side on a 2-year deal. Outside back Will Jordan will make a conditional return from injury for the Crusaders in Friday's Super Rugby match with the Chiefs at Christchurch. Southampton's appealing their expulsion from football's championship playoff final, often labelled the richest match in the sport, because they claim the punishment bears no proportion to the offence of spying on opponents.
This is every broadcaster's worst nightmare. A radio station in the UK has wrongly announced that someone has died, not just anybody, but the King.
This is Radio Caroline. We have suspended our normal programmes until further notice as a mark of respect following the passing of His Majesty King Charles III. This is Radio Caroline. His Majesty King Charles III has passed away. As a mark of respect, we will now be playing suitable continuous music until further notice.
It's terrible, isn't it? Whoever the poor person is that pushed go on that, my heart goes out to you. There's nothing worse than that. How did you get it so wrong, Caroline? How did you get it? And what is continuous appropriate music? How many times, how many hours can you play God Save the King for? Anyway, I remember at TV3 we used to have a black suit. In fact, I've actually got one here, which you don't wear specifically for the day when the monarch dies. It's just hid away in a cupboard, you've got a black tie, it's your morning outfit basically. And we had to use it obviously because the Queen passed away and the news came through at about 5 a.m, from roughly 5 a.m. when Queen Elizabeth's passing was announced by the palace. And so we just went straight downstairs. This is Melissa Chan Green, who was at TV3 at the time. Straight downstairs, put your blacks on, put your tie on, get in front of the camera and announce the news to New Zealand. So we had to go on air early. All these things are there are plans in place. I'm sure there are plans in place here for the eventuation that the King might pass. But to push go prematurely, there's nothing worse. Here's weather.
Herald Now weather.
Good morning. A wet and windy night for many in the South Island. We do have a slow-moving front responsible. That tracks up the South Island today with high pressure for the North Island, so still settled there. But the heavy rain watches for the ranges of Westland and parts of Fiordland continue today. Same too with the strong wind watches for Fiordland, Otago, Southland, Stewart Island and the Canterbury High Country. So starting wet for the lower south, but things do clear this afternoon, at least down to showers. Winds turn southwest across the day. High cloud increases in the east, bringing a few afternoon showers. A little more rain for the west coast as that front tracks north, with just the odd morning shower for Nelson. It's looking good for the lower north today. Once any fog clears for the usual spots, there will be strong northerlies for Wellington, but easing back tonight. It's a lovely day for the northeast. Again, once any morning fog or frost clears, could be an afternoon shower or two for Rotorua and Bay of Plenty. And cloudy periods with a few showers for the upper north. Although Hamilton, you'll remain dry with a moderate nor'easterly for a time this afternoon.
11 minutes after 8, China, Russia join hands in Beijing, a meeting between Xi and Putin, and they are coming out to condemn US foreign policy. Here they are at the airport welcome. Oh, sorry, that's the premier, but later on Putin met with Xi Jinping. They've called US foreign policy irresponsible. They warn that the US is drifting back to the law of the jungle. Comes as part of that state visit over the last week, and that followed, of course, Trump's visit earlier. Meanwhile, back here, Foreign Minister Winston Peters has told the crowd in Wellington last night just how important Asia is to New Zealand.
In some respects, we are living in the Asian century. What happens in the great Asian landmass matters usually for the trajectory of world affairs. Asia is home to most of the world's people and half of its economic output. There is absolutely no doubt that Asia is integral to New Zealand's prosperity and security.
Jason Young, Director, New Zealand Contemporary China Research Centre, with me this morning out of Dunedin. Jason, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you. So, no real surprise in either of these events happening, I suppose. But do you think we have a close enough... Are we straddling the line between West and East, do you think, well?
There's lots of different relationships that New Zealand has. Obviously, the Pacific's really important for New Zealand. Many of our traditional partners, the United States, Europe, the UK, Australia, obviously super important. And I guess the question of Asia is one of growing importance because a lot of the politics of the world emanate from Asia. It's an important economic area. And I guess the challenge is that for New Zealand, we need to do a lot more work to be able to engage properly in the region. And that's quite a change for our country.
What work do we need to do, Jason, do you reckon?
Well, I think we need to do a lot of work. I agree with the Foreign Minister that we need to have a well-funded diplomatic corps that is on the ground engaging with Asian countries. Our New Zealand businesses need to get out more, need to be part of those markets. They need to have people on the ground. And I think we need to invest in our future generations by giving people the education that will equip them for the future.
Right, and what about this meeting between Russia and China? From where I'm sitting, just from a trade relationship, the Russians need the Chinese more than the Chinese need the Russians, right?
So in numbers, there's been this great reversal in terms of the China-Russia relationship, where in the past China was heavily dependent on the Soviet Union, and that's completely flipped now, where Russia is more dependent on China, particularly economically. But China still needs Russia. I mean, 20% of their energy inputs come from Russia, and they also need Russia as a country that supports many of China's positions, for example, China's position on Taiwan, and many of their positions in the multilateral organizations, particularly the United Nations. So definitely Russia has become the junior partner, but China still needs Russia, and you can see that China has put a lot of effort into maintaining that relationship.
100%. Jason, nice to have you on the program this morning. Thanks for being with me. Jason Young, Director, New Zealand Contemporary China Research Centre. Time is 14 minutes after 8. Let's go to America very briefly, because I want to fill you in on what's happening. We've got the midterms coming up, and at the moment we've got the primaries. So this is where the Republicans pick their candidates, and Kentucky, congressman there, so been in Congress, like existing incumbent Thomas Massie, and the Republicans go to pick their candidate, and you think, well, they go with the guy that they've always had from the Republican Party, but no. Trump comes in over the top because this guy, Massie, criticised Donald Trump, and you don't do that. And this is the big takeaway. He's now the second guy in 2 weeks to be given this treatment. You get the flick. The MAGA base is backing Trump. If Trump says don't go with that guy, they won't. If he says go with this guy, they will. These are yes voters, and he needs yes men or women in these positions. So this guy is out. He criticised Trump on the war. He criticised Trump on the Epstein files. Big no-no, of course. Trump very sensitive about that. So we had Bill Cassidy, Louisiana, and now we've had from Kentucky, Thomas Massie. This is the yes guy who got in instead.
He lost to farmer and former Navy SEAL Gol Rain, who vows to be a reliable yes vote for Trump.
I want to thank President Trump for his endorsement.
Yeah, that's all you got to do, is you got to get an endorsement from the king himself. 16 after 8. We're back with our panel shortly.
It only costs a few dollars, but it all adds up.
What do you mean?
Well, every little donation we make contributes to something bigger.
How bigger? Really bigger. Well,
together we make the chopper. Donate now to the Westpac Chopper Appeal.
Do you want a warm, healthy home? Insulate your walls with Insulmax. The easy, cost-effective way to insulate your walls, usually in just 1 day. Wall insulation without renovation for older Kiwi homes. Fully certified for New Zealand conditions. Join the thousands of Kiwis enjoying a warm, dry, energy-efficient home with Insulmax retrofit wall insulation. Visit nzherald.co.nz to book your free home assessment.
For 150 years, public trust has helped generations of New Zealanders with their wills. Make yours today and ensure the things that matter go to the people that matter.
With the goodness of grains, Molenbeek keeps me going longer!
I want my Molenbeek!
Hey, we're Maddie and PJ from The Hits, and we would love for you to hang out with us in the afternoon.
Billy! I'm a farmer!
Peach, babe, you're not a farmer, you're married to a farmer. Two very different things.
I can't hear you! Does this thing have a bell?
Afternoons with Maddie and PJ on The Hits and iHeartRadio. Farming not included.
So, how many cows have you actually milked?
Let's not get bogged down in the details.
We've done few subdivision with GJ Gardner, and from the resource consent to the building consent, getting the council permits and stuff, always GJ Gardners are ahead and helping us out through the whole process, and it was so easy working with GJ.
We just switched to 2 degrees. Well, we tested the networks and couldn't see any difference, but 2 degrees has free Aussie business roaming, and they're the fastest growing business network.
Can I have what she's having?
Stop paying the waiting tax.
The money you could miss out on by delaying the start of your investment journey. Up your tempo with Tempo, the guided investment app that helps you get started. Don't delay because you don't think you have enough time, money, or know-how. All you need is a goal, and our guidance will help with the rest. You can do it. We can help. Here's how. Download Tempo now.
Welcome back. It is 19 after 8. The Westpac chopper appeal is a vital lifeline keeping New Zealand's rescue helicopters in the sky, but they need our help. One donation, however small, can be the difference that brings another loved one home safely. To get an idea of the incredible work that is done by this team, I'm joined in the studio by Marcel Dressen, critical care paramedic, alongside Aaron Knight, helicopter pilot, thanks to the Westpac chopper appeal. Good morning to you both.
Morning.
Morning. Thank you for bringing props. I love them.
Indeed.
Aaron, I'll start with you. I just want to, you fly into some pretty high pressure, intense situations.
Yeah.
What is it like, and how do you know whether, I suppose there must be a moment in time where you've got to make a decision. Do you go ahead or do you pull out? What's that moment like?
Yeah, it kind of starts from, right back at the base, whether there's a lot of implications that can happen right through. So we're always assessing and, adapting to overcome the situation in front of us. And at any point during any phase of flight, if someone says, there's an issue or, something that pops up during the flight, could be flying debris, it could be just any phase that we're in. If someone says they're not happy with something, we can pause, we'll stop. We're all kind of in on it together, and we all, have a say in the matter. And obviously we've got the overriding aspect of that.
How many of you are in the chopper at one time, generally?
Generally 4 of us.
4 of you. Okay. And Marcel, tell me about you guys recently did a winching operation in Coromandel. What was that like?
Yeah, that was with Aaron, an aircrew officer and one of our docs, and it was amazing. And like Aaron talks about, a dynamic risk assessment right at the start when we get tasked the job, where it is, what are the conditions like, what's the information we have about the person. We thought that these 2 young fellas were trapped on the seaward side of the rocks and maybe fallen down a cliff, and one was reported to be injured. However, we got there and there was no one to be found, but we made a call on the cell phone that was provided, and this police officer answered and said, "Hey guys, it's right in the middle of this finger. We can hear you. You're right over us." And we were looking, going, "Crikey, where the heck?" And as you can see, we found them through a tiny slither of bush through the trees, and we were winched down. So Aaron gets his references, the crew figures out where we're going. I took 2 pieces of rescue equipment, and we got down there, and these young fellas are in this cave, in this hole, which had a tunnel going through from a lagoon into the sea, and they were sort of trapped in the middle with water rushing by and an incoming tide. And one of them had injured himself. He had leg injuries, and the other fellow was a bit bruised, but they were so pleased to see me when I got down there, and I was shocked at where they were, but it was amazing to find them and be that precise. So
it is incredible, because in their minds, before you guys arrive, it must feel like they're at the end of the world, like they are so far from help.
Literally.
Hey.
Yeah.
And then when you turn up, it must be like euphoria almost, is it? Or just exhaustion?
Possibly a bit of both.
It's
always a buzz when you find them. The part that was an unknown factor was the fact that there was an individual who'd been asked to keep an eye on them while the police officer went up to call us on the cell phone at the top of the hill there. And he slipped off the rock and fell in and went through, and then ended up in the ocean with the crashing waves. And so in between trying to rescue these 2 individuals out of this cave that were, with incoming tide, we had to abort after putting Marcel back in for the second one, retrieve him back out of the cave, and then go and pluck this other chap out of the ocean. And Marcel said when he got down to him, he was at his last few moments of probably before he was going to go under. And so that the whole thing was just like split-second decision making on the
on the seat of our pants type thing.
100%. How important is communication at a time like that?
Oh, absolutely imperative. And having the right PPE as well. I was in my wet gear PPE, with fins and wetsuit and harness. And I'm attached to a communication device so I can hear everything. I was about to get this second young fella up and ready to come up with a broken leg. And I could hear Aaron and Artie saying, hey, the cops are waving to us. And then, crikey, there's someone in the water. And then they couldn't get jet skis to them. And so they had to come and pluck me back out. And it all takes time and precision. But having that comms and knowing what's coming, I think, made a difference. It was a 200-odd foot winch, so it was not to be sneezed at,
Yeah.
But everything just went so well because of communication, because of training, because of trust, knowing our jobs, our roles at that critical moment,
What does it feel like when you get someone out?
It's pretty. There's an overwhelming sense of like reward, and like at the end of that job, we landed. There was a phase there where because of this extra individual, we'd gone over thinking it was going to be a fairly bulk standard kind of a winch with these two gentlemen off the rocks. Now there's a third, so we had to drop off the first two. I said to Marcel, there was a point there where we were getting down to the last sort of 10-15 minutes of usable fuel on the aircraft. And I said, we're going to have to go and get fuel before we can get this guy. And Marcel, if we don't go and get him now, he'll probably drown in there because the tide's coming in. So ended up having to make the decision on the spot to go and get this third guy out. And at that point, I sort of made the last minute decision, right, we're going to better get over to Thames and land and get fuel and drop the patient off at the hospital there. And when we were on the ground refueling, we were debriefing amongst ourselves, and there was just this overwhelming sense of, wow, like
what did we just achieve?
It's pretty cool. Like it's amazing.
Yeah, it must be pretty emotional too.
Yep.
Yeah. It's. I mean, of 20 plus years of doing it, that's got to be one of my top 3 winches, just because of the location, the variance. This third guy getting somehow in the ocean and nearly drowning, and it was amazing. Yeah.
Hey, the donations, and people harp on about donations. How important are they to what you do?
Crucial.
Yep, massive. I mean, we've bought some gear along today. The sort of thing that all the money goes to, the things like, our flight helmets, they last for 10 to 12 years type thing, and they've got to be replaced. The rescue strops, that's one of the pieces of equipment that we use on that particular day, something like that. And then this one over here that they actually just used recently off the Hen and Chick Islands, where they rescued a dock worker who had injured, or I believe he was injured anyway, and put the dog. So it's for a small child or a dog.
Right.
Each piece of equipment here ranges basically from $3,000 each item. That's New Zealand dollars, to sort of $4,500-5,000 per helmet. So every little bit of money goes towards replacing, everything. They've all got a shelf life, they don't last forever. They constantly need to be inspected, which is on every 6 months.
This is a relatively new bit of kit, the child and animal rescue bag, and as Aaron says, we've had a dog in it, but you can imagine in the likes of a cyclone or something, people stuck on houses, little kids, dogs, you can get them in here, winch them up safely, and then carry on. And we never used to have this, so this was something we just had recently, and it's proved its weight in gold already.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you very much for the work you do. I know our audience will be thanking you too, and hopefully we'll be donating to your appeal as well. So thanks very much for being with me this morning.
Pleasure. Thanks for having us.
Counts,
100%.
Together we are the chopper, so carry on. Well done. Thank you everyone out there.
Marcel Dreesen, critical care paramedic, Aaron Knight, helicopter pilot. That is thanks to the Westpac Chopper Appeal. Remember, even a small donation can make a big difference and help keep rescue helicopters running. You can donate. Go to chopperappeal.co.nz/donate now. That's chopperappeal.co.nz/donate now. Quick break, back with the panel after this.
When building for investment, it's important to find a team that you can trust.
We decided to build the GJs because of the good quality that they always provide us.
They help us throughout the whole process of getting the resource consent to the building consent, and their contracts are very easy to understand. We have built 4 houses with GJ Gardeners, and it's just easier every time we work with them.
I'll definitely recommend GJs to all of my friends and family.
If you're thinking of building, choose the builder you'll want to build with time and time again.
In 1985, my grandfather set out to make the world a better tea. That's why we grow our own, unlike other tea companies. Then pick the best leaves by hand, not machine, and pack it right here in Sri Lanka. But it's not just the taste that makes our tea better. 15% of our profit goes to humanity and to the elephants. As my grandfather said,
Do try it.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Paul, and now I'm going to help you solve your problems with Chelsea. Just DM us your problems, and together, let's fix them. Baking solves everything. DM us now.
Speaking to the acting Prime Minister, does he stand by all of
You don't shout out like some bunch of clowns at university.
My message to the union is very clear. Don't use...
The New Zealand Herald. News worth knowing.
We all have a routine to help us get through the week. But that doesn't mean it has to feel so routine. Because with my food bag, you can come home knowing you've always got a yum meal to dish up. With new recipes to try and plenty of favourites that are simple, healthy and always delicious. It's a dinner routine that isn't stuck on repeat. My food bag. Dinner done better.
Make way for the designated driver.
So it was pitch black, middle of the night.
Where are we going?
We saw this tree. It was the tallest tree ever. And then we walked and walked. Then we saw a cow. Well, Mom did.
That's quite an adventure, buddy.
Yeah, it kind of was. What do you want to do now?
Right, it is time for our daily panel. Dave Latelli is with us, BBM Motivation founder. Dave, good morning.
Morena.
Morena. Louise Wallace is here, former broadcaster, actress. Louise, good morning.
Hello, how are you?
Very well, lovely to see you both.
Thank you.
I want to start with the really rich people who are coming to New Zealand. So there's a bit of an exodus from Dubai. We will be the benefactors of that, at least in part. And we had Stuart Nash on this morning, who's now doing like an immigration consultancy to help with the golden visa. He said there are two 100 billion plus net worth, worth more than 100 billion plus, trying to get residency in New Zealand, coming through on this thing. I mean, that's pretty intense, isn't it? That's a lot of money.
It's incredible. And I mean, if they give some of that to us or invest that in New Zealand, what could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, that's a good thing. Just cut the bureaucracy and give them the visas, get them over here.
Absolutely.
And charity-wise, these guys tend to give a lot of money as well. That's got to be good for our charity sector, I would have thought.
Yeah, maybe we should make that a prerequisite.
Well, maybe.
These big guys coming in, they have to donate a portion, something, to local charities.
Especially theatre.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'll push option one, which is food banks, before I hit the theatre button.
Well, I'm sorry, but arts, it's very valuable. I mean, art galleries, and theatre and...
yes, but let's...
It's important.
It's important, but like, you got to...
It's hard to admire art when you're hungry.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. No, I do hear where you're coming from.
Okay, prison. So 14 prison staff, corrections staff, not all of them, but 14 is quite a lot, I thought, arrested yesterday, Dave, because they were accused of conspiring to supply Class A drugs, namely methamphetamine, to inmates on the inside. So what should be the good guys in a prison also a little bit bad, potentially.
Louise, you got any experience here? Or you
I've got plenty of prison experiences. Funny you should ask, actually. Last time I was in prison. No, I haven't. But, I mean, why would we be surprised?
Have you ever played an inmate, at least?
No. But why would we be surprised?
This has been happening for a long time. I remember as a kid right up into my team. I mean, I've visited prison most of my life, and I hate visiting prisons. But we used to have guards come over to drop off money and pick up drugs. So these things have always been happening. It's funny when you go to prisons, you have to really pretend you hated those particular guards because you didn't want to give up their cover. But it was as long as you have people that are either greedy or need money.
Yeah.
This is going to happen. This is a far bigger. I mean, how else do you think that the drugs? It's not always the old-fashioned way of,
And also the thing is that they're institutionalised. These people. Don't you think that it's like sort of hospitals, schools, prisons? You're institutionalised, whether you're this side of the bars or this side of the bars, and you're mixing with, let's face it, dubious characters. So it's all going to run off on other people, don't you think?
Yeah, I suppose you're right.
I mean, it's rife. I mean, it's a big problem, and it always has been. It's bigger than what Mark Mitchell's, talking about, what he wants to admit. He wouldn't know most of what's going on.
And it would be absolutely universal in prisons everywhere, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It's interesting you talk about sort of institutionalisation. Yeah, my brothers are very sick when I was growing up, so we spent a lot of time in hospitals. And you sort of grow to, you get to know things about hospitals, and you get to know the ins and the outs, and the doctors that are nice and the nurses that are not nice. And it's just interesting that your experience was prisons,
Yeah,
that's true. And I mean,
it's funny.
It's like rest homes. It's just it's your whole world. It becomes your whole world.
There are a lot of great people. We work in prison still now, as well as my father with Grace Foundation. There are a lot of great people within corrections. This will still be a minority, but it is a big problem.
Yeah. Steroids, they are not a problem if you are heading to the enhanced games. This is Memorial Day weekend, Las Vegas, Sin City, sin for a reason.
Love Vegas.
Yeah, love Vegas, very good. But do you love the idea of the enhanced games?
I think it's better than people cheating in the bona fide games, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if they want to cheat and they're happy to do this and they're happy with the risks associated with their bodies, then I think it's quite a good, interesting scientific experiment, actually.
It would be good to see how far they can push this.
Yes, absolutely. And if it's done under medical supervision, which apparently it's going to be, I think it's going to be absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. Some people turn their noses up, say this is, you're immoral if... No, I'm just fascinated. I'm interested.
They're just admitting it.
Yeah.
They should call it the open games.
I mean, dare I get into this territory? Walk over and slap me full in the face. But it's like the trans movement in terms of sport. If they want to be in games and Olympic games, I think it's fascinating if they had their own games, their own Olympic games, and just see what records they break doing that.
Okay. Or a different, okay, all right. Well, that would, I suppose, be interested in. Yes, we are in fraud territory.
Yeah.
But with the drugs, so the prize pool, have you seen how much these guys could earn? So the total prize pool, there's 40 athletes taking part, $25 million. Wow. And if you break a world record in 50-metre freestyle, I think, and 100-metre sprint on the track, you get $1 million. Which they will, because they're on drugs. Surely they would beat, wouldn't they? And then if you just win any race, $250,000.
I should probably know the answer to this, but how are these athletes chosen? Are these athletes that have been done for cheating before?
No. You volunteer for this, you sign up for this. Some of them are former Olympians. There's about 5 or 6 former Olympians, and they're not all necessarily on performance-enhancing drugs. Some of them are choosing not to be, almost, I suppose, as a, test case.
Yeah.
Something to race against.
Yeah, again, it's a case, whenever there's money involved and the want for it, people are going to do, whatever they can to get the money.
Yeah.
It goes right through society from the prisons up there.
Yeah. Hey, what about the robots? This morning we've been talking about AI and robots taking over lots of jobs. Common thing to be spoken about these days. We're doing it in the public service. Actually, just while I'm thinking of this, robot games would be interesting to watch, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I don't think they've quite got the robots sussed yet.
Oh man, no. I was talking to Damon Salesa he's the deputy, the Chancellor of AUT.
Oh yeah.
And he's right into these AI robots, and they can do a lot. And I just said, have you ever seen the movie Terminator? Terminator 2, like you're that guy. It's crazy what these robots are able to do.
But wouldn't it be a positive thing, though, to get robots to do jobs that are just so, incredibly boring and mundane? And why not just get the robots to do those?
Until they take us over.
I'm
telling you,
it's
crazy what these things can do.
Yeah, I don't know. All I know is that my son, his friends, people in business who are in their 20s, 30s, they are not afraid of AI in any way, shape or form.
Yeah.
I started using Claude. It's amazing.
Oh, there you go.
It is amazing.
What is Claude doing for you?
Well,
booking things.
Well, I'm setting up a PR company thing, and it's set up all my campaigns. We're trialing it on a company called The Smash. 150 free burgers this Saturday.
Oh, that sounds good.
It's just set up this whole campaign, social media. It creates it hooks up to your Canva, so it creates all the social media tiles for you. It's everything.
Really?
I set up this because I've got like 40,000 unanswered emails. So I set it up to go through my emails and take out anything that's got funding requests or meeting requests, all these things. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So in one way you're saying, oh no, I'm worried
about it.
The next thing is
I'm worried about because but I'm saying it's because of knowing how powerful AI is.
Yes.
Paired with these robots.
Claude. Look into it.
Get onto it.
All right. Good to see you both this morning.
Yeah, thank you. Nice to see you too.
And you, Dave Latelli, BBM Motivation founder, and Louise Wallace, former broadcaster, here for our chat. 21 away from 9.
Stop paying the waiting tax. The money you could miss out on by delaying the start of your investment journey. Up your tempo with Tempo, the guided investment app that helps you get started. Don't delay because you don't think you have enough time, money, or know-how. All you need is a goal, and our guidance will help with the rest. You can do it. We can help. Here's how. Download Tempo now.
For 150 years, public trust has helped generations of New Zealanders with their wills. Make yours today and ensure the things that matter go to the people that matter.
Here she is. How's the business going?
Good, actually. We just switched to 2 degrees. Well, we tested the networks and couldn't see any difference. But 2 degrees has free Aussie business roaming. With Flex, we get instant control of phone plans, data usage, and cost centre reporting. And they're the fastest growing business network.
Can I have what she's having?
Old school hip hop and R&B. Flavor.
Do you want a warm, healthy home? Insulate your walls with Insulmax. The easy, cost-effective way to insulate your walls, usually in just one day. Wall insulation without renovation for older Kiwi homes. Fully certified for New Zealand conditions. Join the thousands of Kiwis enjoying a warm, dry, energy-efficient home with Insulmax retrofit wall insulation. Visit nzherald.co.nz to book your free home assessment.
With the goodness of grains, Molenbeek. Keep me going longer!
I want my Molenbeek.
Oh, it's a proper Lamington.
It only costs a few dollars, but it all adds up.
What do you mean?
Well, every little donation we make contributes to something bigger.
How bigger?
Really bigger.
Still require a bit more information here.
Together, we are powerful.
Come on, Jeff.
Well,
Oh, look, together we make the chopper. Donate now to the Westpac Chopper Appeal.
Welcome back. It is 17 minutes away from 9 o'clock. Great to have your company on Ryan Bridge today this morning. Right, this is property time, thanks to our partners GJ Gardner. The so-called golden visa pathway has not yet been the boon that many in the real estate industry had hoped it might be. Let's go to our Catherine Smith One Roof Prestige property reporter with us this morning. Catherine, good morning.
Good morning.
Now, we've had Stuart Nash on the program this morning, and he's told us, because, he does the, he says there are a couple of very wealthy people, he said like 100 billion plus, who are trying to get their way into New Zealand on this visa. So there are people coming in, but is the real estate side of it not what we thought it would be, maybe?
But basically, it could be, it will be, it's building momentum. Right now, there's only been 16 sales that have actually come in under the Golden Visa people, but the agents are starting to say now that they're really starting to get some momentum, that people are now seriously door knocking, seriously looking at places, but haven't got their deals over the line yet. Haven't heard the $1 billion ones yet, but my brain can't compute how many zeros a billion even is.
Neither.
Yeah.
It's like Nvidia is about to report their results, and it's $5 trillion company. I don't know what that means.
I don't know how many zeros that is. Yeah, I always go back to that TikTok thing, with a cup of rice.
No, I haven't seen that.
We'll talk about it later.
Okay,
it's a woman with a cup of rice, and this is a $10,000. This is $1 million. This is $1 billion. This is $1 trillion.
And it's how much rice is
physically see how much rice is in a dollar. Yeah,
a lot of rice.
Seriously, I'll send it to you.
Now, what does otherwise sensitive mean?
Well, this is where, as always, the devil is in the details, because people can only buy land of a certain size, which is under 5 million. It can't be sensitive land. And of course, if you think about it, if you're a billionaire or even a modest millionaire coming to New Zealand, your first dream is to be on the waterfront, right? Or in the mountains, or next to a river, or all those glorious scenes people know about New Zealand. But in fact, that's deemed sensitive land under the Overseas Investment Office. And so it needs special permission. So it's not an automatic buy. And so, there's complications, like in certain parts of Auckland, there's a house on Milford Beach that people could buy right now because at some point it was subdivided and there's a strip of Crown land, so it's not waterfront. Just along the beach at Takapuna, where they haven't had a subdivision, they're considered waterfront. Sensitive land, can't buy there. And
what are the agents saying? They reckon we need to fix this up, do they?
Yes, some of them reckon we need to fix it up. Some of them say, it's not too complicated, and eventually, someone will sort out the precedent and it will all work. The interesting one is the Queenstown people. People buy in these beautiful big estates like Bendermere and Closeburn and all of those things. And a lot of those places, you buy your squillion-dollar house, but you also have a shareholding of a giant estate, and of course that tips people over the 5 hectare limit.
The size thing.
Yeah.
So your gated communities are suffering too.
Yeah.
Poor people.
I know. So the Queenstown agents are just having a word with whichever who can make those decisions and things.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Catherine, House of the Week this week.
It's a yummy one, actually. It's on the waterfront at Bucklands Beach, Music Point. And look at that. It literally is one of only 6 waterfront places out on that tip. And then you're tipping into Music Point, you've got your golf club and things. But again, it's a case in point that because it's right on the water, it's off limits to foreign buyers. Now, the agent who's selling it, Ross Hawkins from New Zealand Sotheby's, said he's had clients buying properties in Aotea Great Barrier and so on, and it's a 20-day problem instead of a 5-day problem. So people can still buy. But right across the water, you can see the tip of that point there is Riddell Road, and that was where the first foreign buyer could buy a place on the water at Karaka Bay, but they could do that because there's a strip of Crown land. So literally they're across the water from each other, and one's eligible and one's not.
That does seem like a little...
This is an utterly beautiful place. It's a Franz Kammermann's design. There's it's kind of a series of boat houses. It's 25 years old. You would not know.
Really?
It's so beautiful.
That is not. But they've remodelled since then, have they?
No.
Stop it.
I know. And somewhere I think we have the picture at the end is this beautiful old boathouse. They collected timber. Here we go. And they collected timber from all over the place. And this, you walk in there and it still smells of cedar. It's just like, I'll just live there, thanks. I'll just be a hobbit in my little wooden house.
In your little bunk room, Catherine.
I know.
Beautiful. Isn't it funny that a little bit of strip of land, which presumably to a traditional New Zealand buyer would be a disadvantage to have Crown land between you and the ocean, is now the advantage you want?
Yes.
Fascinating.
But anyway, nothing an $800 an hour lawyer can't fix for you. Yeah.
True. Very good. And there'll be plenty of those, I'm sure. Catherine, thank you very much. Catherine Smith, One Roof Prestige property reporter with us this morning. And that's thanks to our partners, GJ Gardner. It's 12 minutes away from 9. Let's go to some breaking news now. The results for Nvidia, the world's biggest company by market cap, have just been released. Revenue, $81.62 billion. That compares to the $78.86 billion that was estimated. So they are beating forecasts from the analysts. Nvidia's gross margin came in at 75%. Let's go live to Zoe Wallace, Forsyth Barr investment strategist. Zoe, good morning. Your reaction?
Good morning, Ryan. Well, look, I think pretty much it sums it up as a very solid result. What you've seen this morning is pretty positive, and the share market reaction is bouncing around in after-hours trading. I think partly just because, with Nvidia, expectations do tend to get quite high. What we've seen in the last few earnings results is that actually the day after the results have been announced, the stock has generally traded down. I think just because there's so much anticipation going into this, and we did see in last night's session the stock was actually up 1.3% anyway.
Yeah, it's interesting, this one, isn't it? Because last time even though the result beat expectations, the share price went down because the froth was so much.
Yeah, I think there is an element of that. But look, when you look at the fundamental results, this is all pointing in a positive direction for the company generally. You've got margins running at 75%, as you mentioned. Now, that is really solid, and they've been able to maintain that margin. I think, if you'd asked a year ago, there were some question marks around whether that type of margin was sustainable, but it seems like they're hanging in there. The guidance for Q2 was also positive, so that beat analysts' expectations.
And when you talk about the fact that they are making money, this is good, the margins are healthy, what are they making money off?
Entirely pretty much data centres at the moment. So they are supplying the hardware, the picks and shovels, to data centres, which then are powering AI, both training, but increasingly also inference. And I think one structural change you've probably seen in the last 6 months has been the emergence and the increasing use of things like agentic AI, which are really heavy in terms of the computing power that they need to run those things.
They're also announcing share buyback. What's that about?
Yeah, absolutely. So they have had a share buyback program in place for a little while, but they've upped the authorisation amount to $80 billion. And they've actually also announced that they're increasing their dividend from 1 cent a share to 25 cents per share. So it's just a reflection, I think, of, they know that they're in a good position. They're looking at ways to deploy capital. And some of that is giving back to shareholders via the dividend. Other means of that is, through the share buyback program.
Good to see you this morning, Zoe. Thank you very much. Zoe Wallace, Forsyth Barr investment strategist on the Nvidia result this morning. It is 9 to 9.
So it was pitch black, middle of the night.
Where are we going?
We saw this tree. It was the tallest tree ever. And then we walked and walked. Then we saw a cow. Well, Mom did.
That's quite an adventure, buddy.
Yeah, it kind of was. What do you want to do now?
Suzanne Paul, and now I'm going to help you solve your problems with Chelsea. Just DM us your problems and together let's fix them. Baking solves everything. DM us now.
You're working hard to get to where you want to go. Now's the time to have a retirement plan that aligns with your goals. Head to milfordasset.com to find out how we can help. Milford, invested in you.
In 1985, my grandfather set out to make the world a better tea. That's why we grow our own, unlike other tea companies. Then pick the best leaves by hand, not machine, and pack it right here in Sri Lanka. But it's not just the taste that makes our tea better. 15% of our profit goes to humanity and to the elephants. As my grandfather said,
Do try it.
Guys, make way. For the designated driver.
We have completed 4 builds with GJ. Every time we want to think of building, we always go back to GJ.
It's a really good experience throughout the whole process.
They deliver what they promise on, and feels like working with a family member. It's very easy and trustworthy to work with GJ.
Let's talk business thanks to our partners Forsyth Bar. Garth Bray is with us with some Kiwi results out this morning. Garth, good morning.
Yeah, not just Nvidia making news, although that's catching a lot of attention, obviously. Turners is probably the first one. They've just reported their full-year profit and saying it reinforces their strategic targets that they'd set through for 5 years, because they're reporting a normalised net profit before tax of 63.2 million. That's up about 16%. And that's the auto retail, finance and insurance all doing pretty well there. And basically that says that they mean that their original target, which was set for 2028, is now looking like 2027 of 65 million. And they're on track for a sort of 100 million, I think, by 2031, well ahead of time. So this is, I guess, a company that's attracted quite a lot of interest from the market, because they just seem to be able to do really well at doing something that Kiwis like to do, which is change their cars every now and then.
And My Food Bag has got a half-year result?
Yeah, full year, sorry, on them. And they have actually made some money. They have revenue of 170 million, so that was up about 5% on the previous year. 57.1 thousand active customers, and they made about a 5.3% profit on previous. So clearly sort of managing to navigate all of the difficulties that we've seen with any kind of logistics problem, you know, moving stuff around the place, supplying people and so on. It's a pretty competitive market, that.
And Tower Insurance.
Tower Insurance, they've just got a half year today, and so they are reporting an underlying net profit of 36.8 million. The half year was 61.7 million last year, so we'll see how that plays out. And they're talking about how they've added 15,000 extra customers over the period. Still looking, I think, guiding towards similar kind of position that they were talking about, I think. Low to single-digit growth, 5 to 10%, they think, lower than average premiums. So, you know, competitive market there, insurance, perhaps.
Interesting stuff. Thank you very much, Garth. Thank you, Garth Bray. We talk business every day thanks to our partners, Forsyth Bar. The time is now 4 minutes away from 9 o'clock. US President Donald Trump playing down fears of an escalation in hostilities with Cuba. This comes after the DOJ, the Justice Department there, has announced that they're going after the former Cuban President Raul Castro. This is a brother of Fidel. 4 men were killed in 1996 when planes were shot down by the Cuban military, which has led to this and was led at the time by Castro.
No, there won't be escalation. I don't think there needs to be. Look, the place is falling apart. It's a mess, and they've sort of lost control.
That was Donald Trump just a short time ago, and that is it for us for today. Thanks so much for watching. We'll be back tomorrow from 7 for more news. In the meantime, head to our YouTube channel. You can see our full interviews there. See you tomorrow.
So it was pitch black, middle of the night.
Where are we going?
We saw this tree. It was the tallest tree ever. And then we walked and walked. Then we saw a cow. Well, Mom did.
That's quite an adventure, buddy.
Yeah, it kind of was. What do you want to do now?
Suzanne Paul, and now I'm going to help you solve your problems with Chelsea. Just DM us your problems and together let's fix them. Baking solves everything. DM us now.
You're working hard to get to where you want to go. Now's the time to have a retirement plan that aligns with your goals. Head to milfordasset.com to find out how we can help. Milford, invested in you.
In 1985, my grandfather set out to make the world a better tea. That's why we grow our own, unlike other tea companies. Then pick the best leaves by hand, not machine, and pack it right here in Sri Lanka. But it's not just the taste that makes our tea better. 15% of our profit goes to humanity and to the elephants. As my grandfather said,
Do try it.
Guys, make way. For the designated driver.
We have completed 4 builds with GJ. Every time we want to think of building, we always go back to GJ.
It's a really good experience throughout the whole process.
They deliver what they promise on and feels like working with a family member. It's very easy and trustworthy to work with GJ.